This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com back in Canada after almost 4 months in Texas with none other than Canadian champion Jeremy Prophet, who is known as Black Dynamite as well. He's wrestled Scott Steiner, Tatanka, Carlito, Lanny Poffo, what's his name? Kurt Hawkins, Lance Hoyt. The list goes on and on. Who am I missing here? I can't even remember my own list.
So. Oh, man, if we were to try to name all of them, we would run out of time to talk to the people, get to their questions, and, get to the real issues that they want to hear. Yeah, I've wrestled a lot of big names. You and I have done battle tons of times in the ring there, and I've somehow managed to live to tell about it, which is, better than most people that get in there with you. But, yeah, it's a laundry list of great talent that I've been in there with, big names, legends, Hall of Famers. But when it comes down to it, you're only as good as your last match. And the last time I was there in Great North Wrestling, I was defending this bad boy right here, the most prestigious title in all of Canada, the title that gives people the most visibility with all the viewers across Hannibal TV, more viewers than the frickin' Prime Minister himself. And that's what really matters, is being able to get the gold, have your hand raised in victory, and being a champ once it's all said and done here in our great country.
Jeffrey B is saying that you look jacked, by the way. And Mike is missing Piper. Mike, Piper's right here assisting me with this interview. She's not a big fan of Jeremy in person the couple of times they've met.
Not a lot of people are. What can I say? Some people have good taste, some people have bad taste, but it's all good. Whether you love me or you hate me, as long as you're talking about me, that's the important thing.
Josh wants to know any thoughts about returning to Pembroke. I mean, I'm sure Great North Wrestling will eventually be back in Pembroke. Jeremy has had, you might even be undefeated in Pembroke. I'm not sure, but any thoughts on returning there someday?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, at this point, we've been under lockdown for so long. I'm just itching to get back in the ring, whether it be in Pembroke, whether it be in Smiths Falls, whether it be in London, Toronto. It could be pretty much anywhere. I'll be happy to step in there and do battle with, whoever opponent they want me to face. When you're the champ, you got to face all comers. So, whoever's put in front of me, whoever's name is across from me on the contract, then that's what I got to do.
Well, there's also the matter of the forest of fear that does exist somewhere out there in these vast forests of Canada. And of course, the Blood Hunter is actually the Texas champion right now. He holds the Texas title, but I understand that title might be defended at some point in the coming months in the forest of fear. Is that something you'd also be interested to add to your collection of titles?
Well, I ain't saying I'm a gold digger, but, it ain't, if you're in this business, you got to want the championships. And so, yeah, definitely, I feel like our paths are destined to cross. I think a lot of people want to see that match. When it comes down to me, I don't duck no challenge. So, I know he's on quite a tear right now. Honestly, not looking forward to the brutality that I may encounter, but when you're the champ, you got to face all comers. That's the mark of being a champion and the mark of being a professional. So, I mean, if it means me and the Blood Hunter, I got no problems with that. I'm the champ. You got to face all comers, never duck a fight, and it is what it is.
He's also the Hannibal TV television champion now that he won that title off of Davey Boy Smith Jr. a couple months ago. So he actually holds two titles. So that could be interesting. You never quite got your match against Davey Boy Smith Jr. You were supposed to have one, but you had an injury a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. I understand more likely than not, whenever restrictions end, he might end up in NXT UK. So you may have to wait for that match to happen, maybe down the road in WWE. But the Hannibal TV television title is one title that you almost won during the Battle Royal there with Wes Briscoe when he won it the first time. Is that something that you want to add to your collection as well?
Oh, of course. I mean, I would want to hold as many championships as possible in Great North Wrestling. Like I said, it's the company with the most visibility. And when it comes to us Canadians here, we need as much visibility as possible. You know, we don't have it easy like those Americans south of the border, a lot of which you got the opportunity to get to know, where all the big companies are and all the scouting happens. You know, it's something that I say all the time when you put a camera and a mic in front of me is that, you know, guys like us, we've been doing this for so many years. People don't realize that, you know, between the two of us, we have close to 40 years, if not more than that, experience. You know, a lot of people these days, they do this for maybe 7-8 years. They're considered top talents. They're signed to big companies, making big money. All their bills are paid. And quite frankly, they get soft. And so I think that, you know, in Canada, we're a bit of a different breed. We're hungrier. We're definitely tougher. And a lot of people can't handle that. So, yeah, you know, getting another belt means more exposure, means more eyes on me, means more eyes on the company. So it can do not only a lot of good for myself as a talent, it can do a lot of good for Canada as a scene, which has pretty much been my MO over these past couple of months.
And I will put a picture up of the Hannibal TV World Television title there.
It sure is impressive.
Yeah. So we're going to see the status of some of these titles. As I said, this Texas title will also be defended in Great North Wrestling in the coming months. And for everyone that keeps asking me, as one of the promoters of Great North Wrestling, when is it going to start? Literally whenever the government allows us. We are going to be, if not the first, one of the first companies back. We've been very active during the lockdown, and Jeremy's biceps look like they're going to explode there. He hasn't stopped training, and I know there's a lot of other wrestlers like Lufisto, the women's champion of Canada, that can't wait to get back in there.
You know, in talking about training, and I want to address this because I get asked about this a lot, and people comment on my physique and whatnot, which, by the way, my physique, very proud of it, all natural, no juice, no steroids, nothing like that. In the words of Lance Storm, the best built athlete this side of a negative drug test. But when it comes down to it, the way I look at it is that this COVID, all these restrictions, lockdowns, it's just a detour. You know, a detour is like when you're going home and you run into a blockade. You know, you got to find another way home. So it's really just finding another way around this. You know, I can't wrestle, but I'm definitely in control of my body. I can work out. I can work out at home. You know, I have some equipment, but you don't really need equipment. So long as you got a body, you still have the ability to use it to the best possible and to its fullest potential, and to control what you eat and all those things. And it's like I always say, you know, you never know when that call can come. I'm waiting for that call from one of these big companies. I was ready yesterday for whatever today or the future holds. I've been ready for the longest time, much like yourself. Unfortunately, we don't have these opportunities coming at us from all directions like our friends do south of the border.
No, but it is interesting when you see the Great North Wrestling wrestlers that do get the chances in the U.S., like Pierre Carl Ouellette, who recently had the World Championship in Ring of Honor. I had my last match against him. You've feuded with him. When he came to the U.S., people were acting like he hasn't been around and like he hasn't been wrestling at that level all those years in between, but he has. And same with recently the Blood Hunter going to Texas, winning the Texas title.
Taking it by storm.
The fans hadn't seen stuff like that. So there is talent. Like they haven't seen you really in the U.S. yet. So it'll be interesting if that happens one day.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, it's their loss. And the way I see it, look, we have so many obstacles in front of us with work visas, border issues, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you know what it's all about. Maybe the fans out there don't know, but the fact is it's easier for them to take any, you know, bum off the street, independent American wrestler and you know, try them out. Whereas with us, you need thousands upon thousands of dollars, a lot of paperwork, a lot of proof of how good you are. In my case, you know, and this goes out to anyone out there who'd like to take me up on this offer, because I'm 100% legit on this. It's not a case of the money. I would gladly pay for my own work visa if there was a company that was going to sponsor me. Any of the big companies out there that have enough pull to get it done. I can definitely take care of the money. I can take care of the paperwork. I can take care of all of that. I'm just itching to get the opportunity to sink my teeth into some of these soft wrestlers on the American independent scene. These guys that they have it easy. You know, they get a little bit of exposure to someone from Canada, like yourself, like me, like a lot of the great talents here. And it's just like, wow, where have these people been? Well, look, man, there's tons of great talent here. Just watch an episode of Great North Wrestling and you'll see guys that could easily blow the best American talents right out of the water. So yeah, I'm itching to make that happen. It's not a case of money. It's just a case of which one of these companies is going to have the clairvoyance to see that Jeremy Prophet is worth signing on the dotted line for. And then just let me take care of the rest and you'll get a big return on your investment.
Well, I recently found out that a work visa could cost about $25,000, and I personally don't care enough about it to get one. But if you want to put out that kind of money yourself, go for it. And,
well, look, man, I always say this, it's common sense. So, I mean, if you're a wrestler and you're really good, you're confident in yourself, you know, you have the tools that it takes to get to the big stage. It's like investing in tuition. It's no different. People pay money to go to school all the time. You want an Ivy League education, you're shelling out a hell of a lot more than $25,000. A lot of times the starving independent wrestler, starting GoFundMes and begging people to buy every scrap of merch with their name on it, they don't understand what that level of sacrifice is, of investing in yourself so that you can get somewhere. I'm confident enough in what I bring to the table. I mean, you see what I look like, you hear me talk. Believe me, when I get in the ring, it's even better. And so I'm confident to say that I would gladly put up that kind of money and let the rest pay for itself. You know, it's going to pay it back to whoever is smart enough to do that. So big companies, open your eyes. Great talent here. Me and this guy that's interviewing me.
Yeah, just make sure you got a contract and have it all in writing, because we all know that to use the words of Lanny Poffo, who hates us both apparently, there's a lot of scoundrels in professional wrestling.
Indeed, there is. Indeed.
Now, I have to ask you about this. Came out, and apparently, according to Lanny, I'm absolutely broke, even though for the past 4 months I was able to pay all my bills in Canada and spend $5,000 a month living expenses, living in the U.S., plus have investments on top of that. But according to Lanny, I'm broke, and he hates both of us. And what do you think of his latest cry for attention with that?
I say, God bless him. Lanny is going to be on a short list of people that I like, I have the utmost respect for. If he doesn't like me, I mean, he can take that to his grave. That's fine, Lanny. God bless you. I like you. I enjoyed our times together. Enjoyed our matches together, which maybe you didn't like as much, but I definitely enjoyed them. I'd encourage all you people to go out there and, check them out on the Hannibal TV. I think they were great matches. If he doesn't want to like me, he doesn't want to like you, hey, he can take that to his grave and be bitter. But, I got no ill will towards him. And, that's pretty much how I feel about it.
Yeah, I just found it weird that you probably know when the last time I talked to him, it had to have been around 2012-ish. And he hasn't talked to me for about 9 years, yet he seems to know me well enough to be able to say on the record what my finances are like.
Yeah, it's a strange thing to comment on because, I mean, first of all, you put on some of the biggest shows in all of Canada, huge budgets of talent. I mean, if you look up shows like the Super Show that you did in Ottawa, or those shows that we did in Thunder Bay, I mean, those shows weren't cheap. The arenas weren't cheap. The talent wasn't cheap. There was absolutely nothing cheap about those shows. And, Lanny was on quite a few of those, if I'm not mistaken. I had the privilege of being on a couple, and those were top-level shows. Take it from a guy who's done well over 1,000 matches on the independent scene. You don't get shows like that pretty often. I mean, if you get even one of those shows in a calendar year, it's nothing short of a miracle. But you funded those. You took the risks. The money must have come from somewhere. You funded your channel, and you've been able to be a successful self-made man. So I think that that's something very admirable, and definitely not something that would be, cheap and of someone who's broke. You don't see you going out there making any GoFundMes and, asking people for money.
No, I've never done that, and hopefully I'll never get to that point. Josh wants to know, you've kind of alluded to this, but any WWE or AEW dream? I know recently you won Chris Jericho's contest to get some private training sessions with Lance Storm, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
At this point, whether it be WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, any of those companies that have the ability to get a work visa, that's all I want. I want to be able to step in the ring with the best and, call it, nationalism or whatever you want. But, it seems that the best wrestlers are in the United States, whether it's a question of actual fact or it's just a question of the amount of exposure that they get, because people got to know who you are to know how good you are. I could stand here till I'm blue in the face, and I'm pretty far away from being blue, and tell you about how good I am. But, people have to see you in there with the guys they think are the best. And then from there, they're able to appraise you. So, regardless of which company it is, you put that work visa in my hands and I'll make magic for you. So I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate against WWE, AEW. And to your question there, yeah, I did recently win Chris Jericho's Jericho Award, which I'm very proud of. I've been a fan of Chris Jericho's for my entire career, modeled a lot of what I do off of Chris Jericho. Coco Beware and that infamous match that I had with him in Thunder Bay for Great North Wrestling actually called me Chris Jericho in the ring, which I took as a compliment, and he didn't really bring much else to the table in terms of anything exciting on the microphone. So I guess that was the high point of what he had to say. And yeah, it was an honor getting chosen for that. I've had the opportunity to work with Lance Storm, and he's taught me quite a bit. It was very eye-opening, and I really gained a different insight to wrestling than I had initially, and I think some new skills that I also look forward to showing off. So to any wrestlers out there watching the channel, I'd encourage you to hit up Lance Storm, take advantage of this training. Doesn't really cost that much, $125, and you'll get to do a session with him. You'll get to get his critique on one of your matches. And I'm actually running a contest right now. It's pretty simple. It's with myself and Jofo in the ring. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Prophet. That's JeremyProphet. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for Jofo in the ring, and tell us who you think I should also offer the opportunity to train with Lance Storm. I'm going to choose a winner. Can be a wrestler from anywhere in the world. Doesn't have to be a Canadian. And I really think that this can help them advance their career and learn a lot of new skills that they can put to action. I just wish we weren't under this God-blessed lockdown so I could already start putting some of it to action. But, I've been privileged to have been chosen by Chris Jericho and to work with Lance. And I've worked with him multiple times now and will continue to do so because I really think he's got the right stuff and he's got a lot of knowledge he can pass on to wrestlers of any experience level.
Yes, I actually trained with him a little bit too many, many, many years ago. Back when he first started his school, he would come to the Stampede Wrestling events and critique some matches and also do some seminars where he would probably do similar to what he did with you, try and help people with their work. Ivan wants to know if you have any ring rat stories. I know you're not, I think you're not single, so you probably aren't at liberty to talk about them.
Well, no, I mean, look, I've been focused on the wrestling part of things. So when it comes down to it, there's always going to be ring rats around, just like, groupies with concerts and that kind of thing. Again, I don't think it's to my detriment, but, I've always been focused on the wrestling, which is why, I've never been a good politician, which is why, I didn't make friends with people because I just saw it as brown nosing. I'm really a get to the venue, get in, do my work, leave the people impressed, and then leave them wanting more. If you're going to be talking to somebody like Sexy Eddie, I could tell you a lot of his stories because he and I were driving around, but I don't like to vicariously live through other people. But if you had him in an interview, boy, you talk about ring rats, he could have you going for at least a good, I'd say, 3-4 hours just on that subject.
Yeah, and it's not just the ring rats with him, it's his life. Well, I think he's calmed down now, perhaps, but he was.
I don't think he'll ever calm down. I tell you, Eddie and I, we used to have a catchphrase on the road, and there's an old song. It would say, "We're here for a good time, not a long time. So have a good time because the sun don't shine every day." Kind of had different meanings to the two of us. In Eddie's case, he was more about after the show. I was more about in the ring. So we had different priorities, but. Hey, as long as I was able to carry him in the ring and then literally, carry his ass when he was drunk out of his mind, we got along, and that was the gist of our relationship outside the ring and in.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, I don't think you've ever had a sip of alcohol. I don't think you've had aspirin. You're pretty much straight edge, right?
Yeah, I don't really like the term straight edge because there's some, punk connotations in that. I'm not really a fan of punk rock. But the idea of having never smoked, never drank, never done drugs. Yeah, that all applies to me. Not for any religious convictions or anything other than I just decided that. I grew up around people who do all those things. My parents both drink. I just chose not to because I didn't see it being conducive to what I wanted to do in life. And quite frankly, the first time I actually went to drink, because like I said, I got no prejudices against that. I got it close to me, and the aroma just didn't really jive with me. So I didn't even take a sip. I wanted to at least take a sip, but I didn't. I have, though, accidentally come into contact with alcohol on 2 occasions. In fact, one time I almost crashed my car because we had gone out the night before. It was actually myself, Bobby Lashley, Carlito, and Harry Smith. We all went out in Toronto to this nightclub, and they had given a bottle of Grey Goose to the guys. Now, that don't mean much to me, but I do remember Grey Goose because this was kind of a traumatizing moment because we wanted to leave, and the bottle wasn't finished. So one of the guys, I think it was Bobby Lashley, asked for it in a plastic bottle, just a water bottle. And so I happened to have a bag of water bottles that was left over at the show. The promoter told me, hey, just take that. What I didn't know was that Bobby had, because I was driving him, he left his bottle on the passenger side of my car. So about a day later, I'm kind of thirsty. I reach over to grab what I thought would be a water bottle. It happened to be the bottle of Grey Goose. Now, I was going about 100 down the road. I sipped on that, and I literally spat it out. It's the only time in my life that I ever did a spit take. Spat it all over my front windshield, almost went off the road because it was such a strong, like a burning taste. And you can imagine, because I've never drank alcohol, I was expecting water. So, yeah, Bobby Lashley, just thought you should know. I almost died because of you.
What do you think about all of his success? He's the WWE champion right now, I believe.
Yeah, he deserves it, and he deserved it a long time ago. I've always said that he should have beat John Cena back at Bash at the Beach. I think it was in Great American Bash back in 07. He's great. He's one of the best guys I've been in the ring with. He's built like a tank. He can go. He can move. He's an athlete, and he's legit. It shows in his MMA that he did, his amateur wrestling. People talk very highly about guys like Brock Lesnar, but I mean, Bobby Lashley to me is a million times the athlete and the freak specimen that Brock Lesnar is. And I'm very happy to have shared the ring with him. I think that him winning the title was huge for his career, obviously, but also for WWE and for the black community. I think it's good to see someone like Bobby Lashley, even at 44, 45 years old now, still performing like he's in his prime. I think he is in his prime, and still putting on great matches and bringing a level of credibility back to the WWE title.
Slapdown wants to know if you've ever trained any wrestlers, any interest in opening a school.
In opening a school, not really. The extent of me training wrestlers, I helped Sylvain Grenier at his wrestling school. That would have been around 2009, 2010. Helped train some wrestlers that are still performing around here in the local scene. One of my main guys is a guy named Moretus, who he's still going pretty strong, and he always puts me over in interviews after having trained him along with Sylvain. Also, I'm currently a tag team champion in the IWS, and my tag team partner, Carl Jepsen, I helped train him when he started. I just, saw this big guy, bigger than everyone on the roster, sitting in the front row, yelling obscenities at wrestlers, and, talked to him from there and told him, hey, you should probably give this a shot. Lo and behold, fast forward about 10 years later, he and I become tag team champions together. So yeah, I have helped train a few people, but it's not my goal. I mean, I want to be a performer. I want to be able to perform on a world stage on a week-to-week basis and show what I have to offer. I think that a lot of people, they have the whole school idea as a backup plan, but I actually think that I can, you put me in the right place, I'll make enough money to comfortably retire and then some. So, the school thing, not really for me.
Yeah, and I've tried to train a few people, and you end up getting hurt more than they do because you have to put yourself through the moves. And actually, every single one I've trained has ended up quitting after very short careers. So it's like, and you never get the pay that they say they're going to pay you either. They always find ways to miss weeks or miss months, and you end up with getting injured. And I don't know. One of the guys I trained, he might actually hold the record for having his pants fall down the most times in a match. I think you may have seen that match.
Was that in Great North Wrestling?
Yeah.
Who was that?
John. And I don't mean your match, the one in Kingston.
Oh, you mean John Maloney, the The I was going to say the senator, but we don't have those here. He was the mayor, I think.
Yeah, like it seems. What is it with some wrestlers that like they won't wear pants that fit, and they'll spend. They'd rather just wear the same pair of pants that's going to be falling down the whole match. I don't know.
Yeah, not that I look back on my match with him very fondly. I think that he tried very hard. I more love the story of how we discovered him when we thought that he was Scott Steiner when we saw him in that bar after the show in Smiths Falls, and lo and behold, he turns out to be the mayor of the city. And then I'm wrestling him about a year from then.
Yeah, and I should try and actually look for that clip. My favorite part of that match was the part where I believe it may have been his belt,
Yep.
where you took off his belt and started whipping him.
Oh, yeah.
And you could tell by the look in his face, he's in extreme pain.
I mean, hey, a lot of that was because, quite frankly, he deserved it. You want to step in the ring with Jeremy Prophet and you're not putting in the time and the training. Hey, if you don't want to pay dues, I'll make you pay some dues.
There's a few fans that have been asking, do you prefer babyface or heel?
I prefer being me. I mean, that's what it is, the harbinger of truth. I just come on here and I spit the truth. Some people like me, some people don't. I'm not putting on any kind of a fake persona. I'm not saying anything that I wouldn't say in real life. I'm not treating people any different. That's all there is to it. For the longest time, I would maybe go out there and have a bit of a different character that would stray from my actual personality. But man, I'm just happy being me. When you speak the truth, you can easily walk through life comfortably. And that's why I'm so eloquent when I talk here, because it's not like you're saying a lie and trying to survive moment to moment and think of the next lie and the next one and the next one. When you tell the unfiltered truth, man, life is easy and promos are even easier.
Very, very true. Joe Foe had a question for you earlier.
My own show.
Yeah, the guy that's in the room with you. He wanted to know who would some of your opponents be in AEW that you would like to face the most?
Well, I'd love to face all the people there that I've already faced. So people like my good buddy, Mark Quinn of Private Party, talk to him on the regular. He's a really great talent. I definitely think he's going to be the future of that company. I'd love to get in there with Lance Archer again. We only got to do a little bit on SmackDown, but, I'd love to see what he's made of nowadays, now with the new and improved Jeremy Prophet as well. The Machine, Brian Cage, a guy who I think is one of the best talents in wrestling today. He's big, he's jacked, he can do backflips. I'd love to get back in there with Cage. I've wrestled guys like the Blade from Butcher and the Blade. Again, only got to do a little bit, but wouldn't mind doing more. And then it would have to be the guys who are on top. Anyone who's on top. A guy like Kenny Omega. I'd love to just, go up to Kenny Omega, get in there with him, slap the piss out of him, show people, okay, yeah, you might think this guy's good, but, there's a lot of other hidden gems here in Canada, and he's got to remember his roots. I'd love to get in there with Darby Allin, the Young Bucks, anyone who's anyone, man. I enjoy AEW, and I think I would fit perfectly in there. Oh, and also, can't forget, Chris Jericho. Show him that I am more deserving of his award. And, I'd love to get in there, mix things up with him before he decides to hang it up. I know he's getting a little long in the tooth, but, as Ric Flair used to say, sometimes, the oldest ride in the park still has the longest line. And I think that Jericho has proven that he's still a big draw. So definitely getting in there with him would put a lot more eyes on me as well.
Yeah, you seem like someone that would actually do better in AEW than WWE.
Well, WWE, they got a lot of politics and a lot of scripts and a lot of people telling you what to do. And I think that I thrive on, improvisation. I think I thrive on just being me and what I bring to the table. So, I'm not someone who fits into a box. I don't want to be the next Chris Jericho or the next whoever. I'm the first Jeremy Prophet. I'm one of a kind, and I like to try to stay ahead of the curve. I'm not this typical independent wrestler. Like, let's face it, you watch a lot of these interviews. You even do a lot of interviews with people. You'll get these independent wrestlers that'll come on here, in their pajamas with their big bellies, and, you'll see them go in the ring, and, maybe they can wrestle, or maybe they have a great body, or maybe they have a great promo. But what I always say is with Jeremy Prophet, you get the whole package. And I would put my well-rounded skills up against anybody in this business. Even when I talk about locally, and locally is really small potatoes, because I look at the world. I'm not looking at Quebec. I'm not looking at Canada. I'm looking at the world. But even locally, it's like, find me another guy who, this is the equation pretty much. You take the guys who look worse than me and you got to wipe them out because really, who cares? Then you take the guys who look better than me and you got to disqualify the ones that have taken steroids. So they're already out of the picture. Now pretty much everybody's already gone, but we can humor the equation because then you take the guys who can't stand in front of a microphone like this and talk for hours on end and keep you entertained. They're just going to sit here and, I had a good match with this guy and and then they're going to bore you, and then you have the guys who can't go in front of a microphone in front of a crowd and talk to them and keep them entertained and generate a reaction, or guys who can't stand in front of a camera and not flub their lines in a pre-taped interview. So, you got to have those skills. And then in the ring, I mean, let's face it, I'm athletic, I do the moonsaults, the dives, the 450s. You've been in there with me. I'm as tough and as durable as they come. Faced tons of these guys that no one would survive even a freaking minute with them. And bring in all the technical attributes to the table as well. So when it comes down to it, find me somebody else who has all of those things, even on a local scale. Find me someone. That's my place in wrestling, and that's why I think I would fit in any one of these companies. You don't believe me? Hey, I'm happy to prove you wrong.
Kyle Murray on here wants you to talk a little bit more about your rivalry with Sami Zayn.
About
and,
who?
Jofo
about
also
who?
wants you to do that.
Who dat? I talk about important people. I talk about VIPs. Sami Zayn. Please. I mean, I did a clip for you a little while back. People can go and they can watch that, give it more hits. It's already probably, well over 20,000 views. And you can hear me talk about Sami Zayn. You can hear me talk about how he's a backstabber. You can hear me talk about how he's nothing but a lying, backstabbing serpent of a human being. I'm not going to do justice to putting his name in my mouth and continue to talk about him because, quite frankly, he don't deserve it. All I end up saying is, people you meet on the way up, you meet on the way down. And, I know we live in a world where we have laws and rules, and I'm not going to say, I'm going to go up to him and beat him up and, end his miserable life, because those are just promises I won't be able to deliver on. I believe in delivering reality, and reality is that if I do see him, there will be a confrontation, and I do hope that he decides to take matters into his own hands. I hope he tries to take a swing at me, and then I can take full advantage of my legal right to defend myself, to plant my 2 feet on the ground and defend myself as I see fit. So for now, he can worry about being paranoid in the locker room that he's in. He can worry about, his hair falling out and how stupid he looks on television, like a homeless Muppet. But when it comes down to it, it's not something I think about on a day-to-day basis. So if you guys want to hear what I have to say about him, what he did, go check out that clip, give it some more hits, and put some money in this man's pocket by doing so.
Yeah, the last thing I saw of Sami Zayn was the thing with Jake Paul in the ring with Kevin Owens, and he looks smaller than a manager to me. Like, to me, it's like I just wanted to see what Jake Paul was going to do, and a bunch of fans asked me to watch it, but nothing about the clip.
He's trying to get some clout off of Logan Paul there. It is what it is. It's they need that to prop him up. Either way, whatever. Yeah, he not even really a blip on my radar. I'm happy to talk about it in interviews, but I'm forging my own path. So I don't worry. All that we got in common is that we come from the same place.
And how was the wrestling scene in Montreal there before all this happened? I get asked about it all the time, about the Quebec wrestling scene, and I try to describe it that there's very few good companies, and there's a lot of companies with people that have had little to no training and don't bother wearing gear and so forth. But it's too bad, because there is potential of Quebec to actually be a serious territory.
I mean, Quebec's got its highs and its lows, much like any territory, really. And that's just the truth of the matter. When it comes down to it, you have some companies that do great business. Companies like the IWS, they had 4 television deals. They were on all 3 versions of the Fight Network. That's Fight Network here in Canada, the American version, the UK version. They were on RDS here as well. That's the French ESPN equivalent for you American folks out there. They had great TV deals. They were on with Ring of Honor on RDS, in fact. So they had a great deal of exposure. I'm happy that I'm one of the tag team champions in that company. And I'm actually a 2-time IWS world champion as well. And there's a lot of great companies out there. There's a company like XZW in Sorel Tracy, which is a suburb here of Montreal. They put out a great product as well, give a lot of opportunities to a lot of local talent, bring in a lot of big names. And so it's a scene that, again, it has its highs and lows. And, it's like judging. You can't really judge a whole scene on the worst, and you can't really judge a whole scene on the best. So all that to say, when it comes to Quebec, yeah, I'm happy to stand here head and shoulders above my compatriots. But again, even I'm not indicative of every guy from Quebec. There are great talents just as much as there are garbage talents. And I think that that's not something that's unique to here. I think it's just about anywhere. So yeah, look into it, folks. If you want to know more about Quebec wrestling, I'm happy to tell you. We cover it all the time on JoFo. So, subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can definitely get your fix of wrestling, not only in Quebec, but in Canada, because again, I look at the big picture.
Wendell, I'll just answer this. When will we see Great North Wrestling with a live audience? It's the government's call, and the government is very far behind in the vaccinations here at this point in time. I think Quebec might actually be a bit better than Ontario, but not by much.
If you don't mind me asking, you got your vaccination, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get all of them, or are you still waiting?
No, I got them both.
Okay.
They have in Dallas, they have like parks and race car stadiums where you just drive in. They have it very well organized. You just roll down your window. They give you the shot. You get your paperwork right there.
Any idea why the rollout is so much better there than it is here?
I don't know. I don't. All I know is it's like traveling back in time coming here.
Because I always like to say, I don't have a PhD, but I feel like I have a PhD in common sense. And it's like, I don't feel like they were hit as hard as we were, especially in your neck of the woods in Ontario right now with, upwards of 3,000 cases, new cases every day, and all the other hoopla they want to talk about. But we have it so hard, yet somehow the vaccine rollout isn't kicking into full effect. There's still all this bureaucracy and things that are slowing it down. And I think it's just so ass backwards when you look at it from a common sense standpoint that, why are things not as good here as they are over there? It's why don't they take the example from Texas rather than taking the example from France and putting people under this communist dictatorship? Not saying France has a communist dictatorship, but saying that the practices are very similar. I don't get it.
It's very confusing. I've lost this guy's question, but there was a guy on here that was asking earlier how you ended up also as a promoter. You've helped promote various companies in Quebec over the years.
Yeah, my start in promoting, I'm not even sure if you knew this, but I think it was with you. We worked on an event up here together. It was the one at Bogey's World that had Sonny and Brutus Beefcake on it. That was the first time I ever worked on promoting a show. So I learned a lot from you, which people don't realize just how successful of a promoter you are in Canada. There's nobody else that can go into a town, get a venue, get sponsors, and be able to put on a show and draw a hell of a crowd. It's really quite a skill set. So a lot of that I learned from you. And I also learned a little bit from seeing, how Jacques Rougeau would do business. He was also a fantastically successful promoter. So if you want to be the best, you got to copy the best. How I got into actually owning companies was really just a case of those companies being on life support. I purchased a company out in Valleyfield, Quebec here that, they were pretty much going to go out of business. They wanted nothing to do with wrestling anymore. And I felt that the people of Valleyfield deserved that and, did my best to keep that company going for just a little bit longer. Same thing with another company. It was being run not to say it was being mismanaged, but unfortunately it wasn't turning a profit and it was starting to jeopardize a lot of people's lives, the ownership, I should say. So I kind of came in and bailed them out. That's all there was to it. I don't think I ever really wanted to promote, but I found myself in these situations where I said, I got to use my money that thankfully I have and, made smart business decisions in my life. So I love wrestling. I'm going to put it to use. I'm going to save these companies and I'm going to keep them going. That's how I became a promoter. And I think that my promoting days, I wouldn't say they're done, but it's definitely not something that I would want to do on a regular basis. I really feel my place is more in front of the camera rather than behind the scenes.
Oh, come on. You don't want to be a part of this big Texas company that I'm secretly starting behind everyone's backs.
Oh, I've heard that.
Down in the U.S., even though I don't even have a work visa.
I heard that Teddy Long was going to make you go one-on-one with The Undertaker.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a big Teddy Long fan, actually.
Which is a shame because, I was thinking about this the other day and I actually watched some of those videos. I watched that one from, God, I don't remember the guy's name, but James Beard did an interview with some guys, I think, out of New York. And they talked about you on there, and there was all this talk of SW Fury. And I feel it's unfortunate because I remember we did one of these lives here, and you were talking about how you felt like Teddy Long was someone who was you considered him a friend. I think you literally said those words. And it speaks to something that I say and a video that I did for you where I explained how a lot of people take advantage of you. And if you guys don't believe me, again, you can go look it up. And this is from ages ago. I look like a child in the video, but I'm explaining how people take advantage of this man because he has such a good heart. I know it's so hard to believe if you go back and you look at his matches, how ruthless and vicious he comes across. But, he really just wants to be successful as a promoter and finds himself in these godforsaken situations where someone just, manages to put a knife in his back. And I think that's because, you're a little too trusting sometimes, but that's okay. Cause I've never been the best politician. I've been very trusting of people. And, maybe that's why I've not gotten further in the wrestling business, but, good on you for getting out of a bad situation. And, hopefully history doesn't repeat itself again with, what happened there.
Speaking of, trust, there's a picture of Teddy and me 3 days before he told me to go back to Canada.
Wow. It's sad, man. You got to stop letting these people put the knife in your back.
Yeah, I mean, you're right that I am too trusting, and it's just sad because I did so much work. Their YouTube channel literally had 400 subscribers. I brought it to 20,000, and then they dumped me with nothing, and I did all that work for free.
Wow.
So let's watch something. Let's look at something that I'd like to do to maybe a few people down in Texas. I found this clip, Jeremy.
Okay.
Let's watch this. They won't hear our voice till after it's over.
Now has the Grape Crusher by the suit and whips him into the corner. That suit is not working to the advantage of the Grape Crusher. It may not have been the best dress to wear in this match. Now Prophet has the belt here. Oh my goodness, you could hear that all the way up in the nosebleed section. He's just whipping Maloney now like a naughty schoolboy. Now he's taking up the shirt of the Grape Crusher, pulling it over his head like it's a hockey fight. Now the bare flesh has been exposed, and Jeremy Prophet is just going to work on Maloney, completely humiliating him in front of his hometown of Smith Falls. Of course, Kanon on the outside is also from Smith Falls, but he has extended family in Pembroke, Ontario, where he's going to be facing Jeremy Prophet. And he's also a former member of the Canadian military and was from a battalion in the area of Pembroke. So he'll definitely...
We'll give the people enough of that for now, but it's safe to say you gave him a little bit of a wrestling lesson in that one.
I mean, watching that over, I gotta, really praise how considerate he was wearing that shirt, hiding the physique, hiding the muscles so that the women don't get too excited and then pass out in the audience there. What a great Herculean physique on him. Much like what we see with a lot of the top talents in wrestling today. I tell you, he's right up there with the Adonises in this business. I honestly can't believe he would allow himself to go in the ring looking like that. What a despicable shame. But yeah, it was good whipping some sense into him. And I still can't believe he's an elected official. But hey, I'll say this, just to put a positive spin on it. At least he had the guts, he had the intestinal fortitude to get in there with me. Maybe not knowing what was in store for him, but at least he got in the ring, took his licks like a man. So, I got to respect that part at least.
Yeah, I did tell him his greatest attribute as a wrestler is his ability to take a beating, which, believe it or not, it is an attribute. I could actually do it. It's one of my skills as a wrestler. I could take real beatings in the ring. He could do it, but unfortunately, you also need some of the other skills along with that. You need to either have a character, a body, some technical ability.
Oh, I don't know. He had quite a body on him there. Round is a shape.
And by the way, you actually won your following match after that too against his friend there.
Was that the cop?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that was his last match. The cop.
And at least, well, no, he had one more after that, and then he was, as much as I put a beating on him, the other match that he had inside the cage.
Yes, that's right. His eardrum burst.
Yeah, that was a rough night for him. And again, all that footage, if you guys want to see what we're talking about, you can find it right here on the Hannibal TV. He's too modest to plug his channel, but I will plug it to no end because, quite frankly, he's the only one giving us any exposure here in Canada. So, hats off to Hannibal. Best of the best.
It was comical, actually. That was the one where you were injured. You weren't able to...
And you know what's crazy is that was the only sort of injury I ever sustained in my career. And it was at the hands of Harry Smith the night before. So, maybe he had bad intentions for me. I don't know. But when it came down to it, I mean, had you just given me, another day, for sure, I'd have been good to go. But it was just such a freak thing that, man, if those shows were like a day apart, I would have been able to do that. But I do hope that before Harry ends up going off to greener pastures, we can make that match happen, he and I.
Yeah, I know there was somebody in the crowd. Obviously, my last match, I think I wrestled Renee on that show, Dupree. It got a little bit violent. And the match before was the one where the cop broke the eardrum. But apparently on intermission, one of my friends was sitting in the crowd, and like a couple of people sitting next to him were mentioning that wrestling was fake. And then they saw what happened with the cop, and they saw my match. And like by the end of the night, they were in shock of what went on in the last two matches. So I kind of enjoyed hearing that.
Yep. There's always going to be ignorant fans. What can you do?
Now, I don't like to insult people's questions, but this is a bit of a weird question that I don't think either of these things have anything to do with each other. But Michael wants to know, considering how violent ECW was and how scary COVID-19 has been, do you think that Chris Benoit will ever be in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Well, without dissecting the entomology of the question, I think I'll just go with the last part. And hell yeah, Chris Benoit deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Will he ever? Probably not. But in our hearts, for those of us who saw his work and saw what he was able to do, he's absolutely Hall of Fame worthy. I model a lot of my wrestling after Chris Benoit because he brought such a level of believability and intensity to every match. And so, it's unfortunate the way his life ended, albeit under dubious circumstances that we don't 100% know, and we may never know. But when it comes down to it, yeah, Chris Benoit was a hell of a wrestler, and I definitely would say deserves his place in the Hall of Fame.
Dom wants to know, what's your take on how bad Raw's ratings have been lately and creative? I will say that Raw's ratings were in the 0.4s through most of Drew McIntyre's reign. And now that Bobby Lashley is champion, they seem to be in the 0.5s. Mm-hmm. So they're not really at the all-time lows, although it was less than a year ago that they hit their lowest rating ever. Which I think Kevin Owens, it seems every single time they hit one of their record lows, and I'm not even just saying this, people can research it, Kevin Owens is always in a feature match.
Huh. That's an interesting tidbit there. I'm gonna stray from the Kevin part of that and just say that I think WWE, I don't think they care about ratings. I think they care about making money. I think that, like I always say, Vince has made more money than he can ever spend in the rest of his lifetime. So when it comes down to it, I don't think they care about ratings, but I do think that if ever competition were to step up to them, then they'll start caring about who's winning the ratings war. So, yeah, and definitely when it comes to creative, I don't know how their creative works, so it's hard to comment on it. I just can't imagine that you'd have, 20, 30 people sitting around a desk just being a bunch of yes men. I'd love a spot on the creative team, and I'd love to shake things up. I'd love to hit Vince McMahon with a dose of, his own bravado, his own, having balls, having grapefruits, having some chutzpah. And someone needs to have that kind of an attitude on the creative team and not just be like, yeah, I'm happy just being here, nodding, doing nothing, and collecting a paycheck. I think that Vince appreciates people that are like him, and he'd be the biggest hypocrite of all time if he didn't. So that'd be my approach to being on the creative. I'd love to be on creative. In fact, I feel that if I'm not on as a wrestler, I would love to just work on promos, because I think there's a lot of people there I can help bestow the gift of gab upon, help them believe a bit more in themselves to be able to convey that to the audience. They have agents for wrestling, but they don't have agents for promos as far as I know. So I would love to contribute that to any company, to be able to agent the promos and the delivery, as well as the lyrics and the verbiage, to be able to get the most out of a talent. I think that's something that's lacking. And yeah, definitely just, creativity. It's why I say WWE's environment, it may, again, I'm commenting on something I don't know, but it may stifle my creativity or it may stimulate my creativity. But I just think that it starts with there not being so many yes men, and they need more Vince McMahons on the creative team. You need more people like him. You need more alpha males, guys who aren't just concerned about, stepping on toes and job security, and ones who actually want to improve the product. They need more people like Vince Russo, who will go there and have the actual balls to stand up to whoever it is that's just a yes man, that's, making things go lower and lower in terms of ratings, so that's the way I see it. That's how I would be if I was there. And who knows, that may or may not happen. I don't know, but I'm not here to discuss the future. I'm just here to spit the truth.
Yeah, there was a video that was out about a year ago that they ended up taking off of their YouTube channel, and it showed their creative people. And I think it was just on one of the brands, and there was about 30 or 40 of them. Some were as young as like 19. They all looked like a bunch of geeks. And like when you see these people that are writing their creative, you fully understand why the product is so uncool these days.
That's why I say it. I think they need more Vince McMahons. They need more alpha males. They need more guys that are putting in time, in the gym, guys who are actually familiar with the type of characters they're writing. Because look, man, if you've never been a brother on the block, it's pretty hard to write for a brother on the block, if you know what I mean. Those who know.
Yeah, one thing I learned from my recent stint down in Texas is I like being my own boss. So I would never do well in a situation like that, working in that WWE type of environment that you're discussing, Jeremy. But I know that you do like helping with that type of stuff, and you've been helping with it in Great North Wrestling for a while now. One thing I did notice as I was doing similar stuff in Texas as I do for Great North Wrestling, behind the scenes, getting promos and so forth, is I do notice overall the American wrestlers are more cooperative and appreciative about promo opportunities than Canadians. There are some that will get dressed, get in their gear, and do whatever they can to get as much footage as we can get with them at events. But there's some that I'm sure you've seen them. They'll just be like, yeah, I'm not dressed. I'll come find you when I'm dressed, and you can try and find them a couple more times. They'll have other excuses.
Yeah, they don't realize that anytime you get to be in front of a microphone and in front of a camera like this, it's an opportunity. You don't know who's watching on the other end. It's why I take these things seriously. It's why I dress up and I pump up for these kinds of things, because, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that'll see this, definitely millions in perpetuity, because something like this, the footage exists forever. So it's tons of eyes that are on you. And the more of this you have, the more of a following you have behind you, and the more chances you have to connect with people who are going to help get you to that next level. So again, I think it's just a lack of education on the part of people here in Canada, because we can't follow the American system. We can't just drive to the towns and do great matches and that kind of thing. You need to be able to connect to a worldwide audience if you want to be able to go places. There have been doors that have opened for me because of your channel, like with World Pro Wrestling in England, which, I think they may be bringing you in to cover some stuff. Two Cold Scorpios there. I was made an offer. That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for your channel. If I had decided I'm going to be just like any other independent bum, and I'm not going to get into gear, and I'm not going to talk, and I'm just going to be a guy who goes out and does a few moves, doors would not open. It's the same reason that I'm on a podcast every week, because visibility is key. We're in the age of the Logan Pauls and the Hannibal TVs, where visibility is paramount. So if people aren't smart to this now, heed my words, help yourself. do your career a service and not a disservice and get as much visibility as you can, because no matter how good of a wrestler you are, it don't mean squat if nobody knows who you are.
Very true. And that World Pro Wrestling event that Great North Wrestling and the Hannibal TV was going to be involved with. And by the way, Kevin Sullivan, to my knowledge, one of their bookers now too at World Pro Wrestling. But that was originally supposed to be this coming October, I believe, and now it's been delayed to February. So let's hope that it will actually happen in February.
And I would love the opportunity to meet Kevin as well. I love his work. I mean, this was the man who was the brains behind WCW during the Monday Night Wars when they were beating WWE, the creator of Goldberg, the creator of many great ideas. And I'd love to get the opportunity to meet him and to work under him. I think that'd be great. Seems like a hell of a mind in the business.
He is. And as I mentioned a few days ago on this, a certain Texas company has put Teddy Long above him in creative, where Kevin Sullivan's the guy that was beating WWE in the Monday Night Wars.
While Teddy Long was a ref working for that same company, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. And I don't know. I guess Teddy Long is good at coming up with a segment where he's going to dance in the ring at 73 years old every show, but whatever.
I mean, when you look at a chessboard, you can't be confusing your queens and bishops and whatnot with pawns. That just don't make sense to me.
No, and I can honestly say Sullivan is still as sharp as ever. Great mind, and he has phenomenal ideas. And it's always there's one guy I never mind picking up at the airport. There's some people I do, but it's always a pleasure to suck up any bit of the knowledge that Kevin has whenever I pick him up from his flight or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, you've wrestled Tom Lawler, Michael Dundane, or not sure how you pronounce it. But
well, hold on a second there, just to correct you. You've wrestled Tom Lawler. I have not.
Oh, I thought you also did. Yeah. Well, I did wrestle him, and I defeated him. Yes.
Yep.
A couple of years ago in Montreal.
Yeah, I promoted the event.
I have to say, his chokehold, I was feeling that for a couple days after. I was trying to figure out a couple days after when I was having problems eating. I'm like, why is my throat hurting? And then I realized it when I went to edit the match. It's like he was choking me.
Yeah, well, I mean, despite his MMA record, he's a good fighter, and he's a tough guy. And I was glad that we were able to book him on that show. And yeah, I put that match together. I felt that you guys would be a perfect match for each other. You with your amateur background and mixed martial arts skills, and him with his UFC credentials and whatnot. And he's having a hell of a career too, Tom Lawler. He might be worth getting back on here as a guest.
Yeah, he's in New Japan and MLW, I believe now. I don't know which promotion has more control over his contract. I'm going to guess probably MLW. Counted Out 7 wants to know who the most entertaining person you've ever traveled with is.
Wow, I mean, it's going to maybe be a disappointing answer because I've already said it earlier in the show, but I think it would have to be Sexy Eddie. Between all the hijinks out of the ring and just his general level of insanity, it'd probably be Eddie. Although I have an honorable mention to, I traveled with Matt Morgan also, and he was a very pleasant guy to travel with. So that was pretty cool too with Matt Morgan. But yeah, Eddie by a county mile.
Very interesting. The one thing I think I remember from traveling with you was when we were going to New Brunswick that time, and we had the ring in the U-Haul or something, and we went through a McDonald's drive-through, and the U-Haul, was that you with us that time? The U-Haul got stuck in the drive-through.
I don't think I went to New Brunswick with you. The one time I remember the one time we traveled together, because there really weren't many times, but the one time was that long ride to Thunder Bay, when we had the infamous press conference with Terry Funk. That was the one time we were in a car for, that must have been like easily over 20 hours.
Yeah, and you ended up flying back to that one because you had that was your SmackDown match.
Raw and
right?
SmackDown. Yeah, was the 2 days after. Yeah.
Now, yeah, one thing I remember about that is whenever the Rougeau's music would come on, the gas would start to hit every time. It has a way of pumping people up. I had Jock on not too long ago. What is your thoughts on the WWE Hall of Fame basically skipping over Jacques and Raymond?
Oh, I think they have to induct him at some point, whether it be with Jacques and Raymond or whether it be Jacques and PCO. I think it has to happen. In fact, they could, go ahead and induct all three of them because they were very monumental to wrestling here in Quebec, specifically here in Montreal. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any issue that he has. I don't think he was part of that big concussion lawsuit. I don't think he slandered the company any worse than the Bruno Sammartinos and the Ultimate Warriors. And I don't think he's done anything, as stupid as like what Hulk Hogan did. So I don't see any reason why they would skip over him, especially with everything that he contributed to them. Intercontinental champion, multiple-time tag team champion. His accomplishments speak for themselves. And, I'm proud to say that he was my trainer. Very proud of it. I know other people have different opinions, but Jacques, I always think very highly of him. I appreciate all the things I learned from him. And yeah, I think that his day will come. It's just something that hasn't happened yet, but I'm pretty sure his day will come.
Now, I don't know if you were there when Kurt Lauderdale was there. That's the murderer that killed, I think, a 16-year-old girl.
I know who he is, yep.
Well, he was wrestling for Jacques. I mean, I miss the whole – I was in Puerto Rico during that time. I only heard about it literally years later, and more recently in Canada, I guess he was able to get out after only serving a little bit of time, considering the crime that he committed. Maybe you could enlighten us about that story, because it's a wrestler murderer story that isn't really that well known.
Well, the thing is, I wasn't training there at the same time as Kurt either. I first saw Kurt at the IWS in, I think it was 2004, 2005 would have been when I first saw him. I was on maybe one or two shows that he was on, spoke with him, got along with him. Really didn't think he had anything to do with it when it came out. I just thought it was a case of wrong place, wrong time. Being from the town where it happened, the girl was still missing. Lo and behold, they got a confession out of him. One of the things I find interesting, and I don't want to, delve too deep into this, but it's my understanding that there wasn't actually any kind of like a formal trial. I think he just pled guilty to it. And then there was like some interrogation footage. So again, the man was convicted. He admitted to it, served his time, some of his time. And so I don't know. It's something that I'd have to look more deeper into. I mean, I watch a lot of television and a lot of true crime stuff, and I know that sometimes confessions can sometimes be coerced. I'm not trying to say that that's the case here, but it's just odd to me that it never had a full trial with witnesses, with evidence presented. I actually read some of the media coverage of it, and there were just stuff that was totally off in the media coverage, but there's no disputing that the man was convicted, and that's pretty much the bottom line in a situation that really shouldn't have happened. No one ever wants to see anyone getting killed, and especially when you work in the same industry as the person, we all kind of take the hit from that. So when it's all said and done, yeah, it's a real touchy thing to talk about, but it was unfortunately a huge black eye for us in the wrestling business at that time.
Yeah, I used to talk to him, but I didn't know him that well. But I do remember the one thing that sticks out to me was before one event, Jacques and Pierre were going to come out to Lose Yourself by Eminem. And he looked at me and he's like, why is Jacques coming out to this? He doesn't know who Eminem is. Like, he's trying to present himself as like a gangster guy. So I always found that funny.
That's such a random story because another wrestler, Paulie Platinum, he was there at the time. You guys probably crossed paths. He's actually the person who brought me into professional wrestling. He had told me about that incident, and he's like, yeah, Jacques just came out to the song. And if you know the song, it's got a bit of a slow beginning. And yeah, apparently they just came out to it, didn't really, wait for the beat to pick up in the right moment. And it's, yeah, really ironic you bring that up because, yeah, I was told that by another wrestler who was there at the same time.
Well, I think we're all just secretly upset anytime they don't come out to the famous Montreal to Memphis song.
Which Jim Johnston still hasn't released yet. I was hoping he'd finally put that one out on one of his compilations that he's been doing as of late, the WWE Uncaged. Still waiting on that song.
Fart Doctor wants to know if you're going to challenge the Blood Hunter in the Forest of Fear. We've already
we covered
that. It may or may not happen, but you've brought up you're in your podcast offices. You've brought up that you have a podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, no, this podcast, Jofo in the Ring. Jofo stands for Just Our Effin' Opinion, so that's the name of it. But even though it's an opinion, I like to bring the truth. And I think that our show is different in that it's not just wrestling fans sitting around talking about the weekly news. You get a bit of comedy from myself and my co-host, Kyle, who's actually a comedian here in Canada, doing extremely well on TikTok, as well as on other platforms. And, we just have a great team here that we give you a show that's not just a dull, drab bunch of people talking. We mix in some clips. We have a wide variety of guests. We've had you on as a guest. It was a fantastic episode that we did. We have independent wrestlers. We have top-level wrestlers from every company. Some of our top guests, we had The Godfather, we had Devon Dudley, we had Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson, we've had TJP, and you go on our channel, you check it out. In fact, all y'all that are watching right now, you should head over to our YouTube channel, Jofo in the Ring, and hit a subscribe. You will not be disappointed. If you love this channel, we know that you are number one by a county mile, but if we can, hope to achieve even half of what you've got, or even a quarter, I'd be happy with that because we want to make sure that people are getting offered something that's different, that is not every other freaking podcast out there. And you get to see me doing my thing week in, week out, helping to get people in Canada some exposure and helping to showcase people out there, but also asking the hard-hitting questions because quite frankly, I ain't scared to talk about the issues that are controversial. I'm not worried that someone's going to come on my show and they're going to be like, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore. It's like, okay, well, if you don't want to talk to me, you showed your true colors. I asked the hard-hitting questions, and that's just me. That's just because I'm the harbinger of truth. I'm the guy who dares to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And quite frankly, if you can't handle the truth, then you can't handle the profit. So that's pretty much what we're all about. It's a great show from top to bottom. Shoot us a subscribe, shoot me a follow. And if you want to be entertained every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, check out Jofo in the Ring. You will not be disappointed.
Now, you did mention that I'm on there. Counted Out 7 wants to know maybe what's a couple of episodes that fans don't necessarily want to go back and watch all of them. Maybe what's a couple that you would suggest?
Well, it depends what you like in wrestling. So like I said, we offer it all. If you like WWE, we had Devon Dudley, we had Tyson Kidd, we had The Godfather. Go look at those episodes. If you like independent wrestling, you can watch my episode. You can watch Hannibal's episode. You can watch... You can actually watch this Tuesday. Here's an exclusive for everybody. We have Jazz coming on this Tuesday's episode. We even talk a little bit about Texas. Then there's a lot of other great episodes there too. Independent talent, Ring of Honor talent. We had Shane Taylor. We had Amber Rose, Rhett Titus. We have a great working relationship with Ring of Honor. PCO is going to be joining us eventually too to talk about his career and a lot of other things. So yeah, we kind of got our hooks in a lot of different directions, but it's about giving the people what they want. That is the bottom line, is we want to give the people what they want to see. But you'll know that when I'm on, no one gets a free pass. I ask the hard-hitting questions. I don't beat around the bush. And quite frankly, we've had people turn down interviews because they don't want to go one-on-one with Jeremy Prophet because they know that, my wit and intellect might put them in an uncomfortable spot. But like I said, it's my job as a journalist to deliver the truth to the fans. So if somebody doesn't want to answer one of my questions, well, too bad for them. I'm still going to ask it.
I'm friends with Jazz, so that's cool that you got Jazz on. She's one of the good people in Texas, I would definitely say, as is Rodney Mack, who is the husband of Jazz. But yeah, you got to ask those questions. You actually get some guests on that I can't get on, and some people always say to me that, why don't you get some of these guests that instead of me interviewing them, I have other people interview them on my channel. It's because they don't want to talk to me, because they don't want to deal with the questions that I'm going to ask them, or their employer doesn't want me to ask them those questions.
Some people, they can't deal with the Man of Steel, but with that said, if ever you want us to hook you up, I'm happy to always put in a word. And, we definitely should collaborate a lot more because, let's face it, you have the viewership, you have the notoriety. We're really just a drop in the ocean at this point, but I think that it's quality over quantity. So that you're not just getting a quickly thrown together riff-raff of a show on Tuesdays. You're really getting a quality show, clips that are integrated, hard-hitting questions, comedy. It's a fun time, but it's also an insightful time. So, we're really about quality. Don't let the numbers dissuade you because, trust me, join the channel. Pick any episode at random, any one, specifically one with me on it, because, I know I hold myself to a higher standard, and I guarantee you will be entertained. If you're not, then, shoot me a message and say that episode sucked. You under-delivered. I don't under-deliver. I over-deliver, and I make sure that people get their money's worth.
You even had that drunken piece of crap, Just Incredible, on, who I wouldn't suggest any promoter ever use. He's a drunk. He'll go 4 minutes into a match after taking his full pay and then disappear.
Wow, that's unfortunate. We also had Sabu on an episode as well. I think he did some work down in Texas also.
Yeah,
and
as crazy as ever.
Yeah, and if you want to check out our episode with Sabu, you can see him on there, him and Melissa Coates, and like you said, as crazy as ever. We like getting the ECW people on there. We have a few more in the pipe, but we don't want to give away everything right away. But if you subscribe, like I said, it's always going to be quality, and we want to make sure that you're entertained. Entertainment is the name of the game, because you don't want to see two people on here talking and it's boring. The show is anything but boring, especially when I'm on screen, because like I said, I wouldn't be me if I did that. I got to go back and watch the episodes, and I have to be entertained by it. If I'm not entertained, I know the people out there are entertained. It's the same approach I take to my wrestling, in that I want to make sure that if I'm a fan in the audience, I am enjoying what I'm seeing. So I hold myself to that, as all wrestlers should, as I know you do. And it speaks volumes as to why your channel has done so well. And we hope to be able to follow in your footsteps in achieving great visibility here in Canada.
Yeah, and it's also hard work. Some people will say, last month, for instance, I beat Ring of Honor, MLW, and NWA's numbers combined. And some idiot just posted, well, you posted more videos. They have the same opportunity to post more videos. If you look at WWE's YouTube channel, they post more videos than me. They've got the manpower and the content for it. It's not a matter of what you do or what you don't do. It's, did you get more views in a month than three of those companies, all three of which have a lot more money than you? And I would say yes. And it's something, man, that we talked about this, I think, in the episode that we did and the last time we did a live. And I'd like to really just appeal to the people watching out there that it blows my mind that of all the companies in the United States, only that one company in Texas took advantage of weaponizing your viewership. I don't know why a bigger company like the NWA, or like Ring of Honor or Impact, which, they're pretty much Canadian, why these companies that you get more views than don't offer you some kind of a deal to bring you on board to help boost their views. Because imagine, with their budget, with all their resources, production-wise and everything, combined with your already built-in audience, it would only make sense that they should come your way. Why should they hire anyone else who doesn't have this kind of following? And find me one wrestler in wrestling that's not already signed to a major company that has that kind of following. I just don't get why they won't come your way and do that. And guys, if you're within the sound of my voice, or you know people that know people, send them this man's way, because what the hell? How dumb can you be? Do people not want to make money? I just don't understand. I actually watched one of JBL's videos yesterday. Coincidentally, a fan told me to watch it because it was Teddy Long doing an interview with JBL, where Teddy Long single-handedly took credit for all the success of that company down in Texas. And I noticed JBL only has 12,000 subscribers. And we all know about Lady Yasmin on this channel. She has millions and millions and millions of views as a wrestler. Now that I've been posting matches from other companies, it's amazing no one's even hired her, even though she might not be the most seasoned, because when you look at the millions of hits she has, those just don't exist.
Yep.
For other independent women. They're few and far between. So you are right that I don't know if it's Canada or what, but I found a couple clips here, and it's sad to think this was almost 10 years ago now. This was August 2011. I'll play it without the sound so people can hear us. But you were in a match. We had about 1,300 fans this night. And this is one of my favorite moves you've ever done to this guy. This was well-deserved. Beautiful.
Yep.
And then you go at him with the chair later on. Now, this guy had stolen ticket money and been a total slime ball. And I love how this guy goes to take the chair from you. And this guy has no idea what's coming.
And that was only the first chair shot, because there's one more. I think the last chair shot was by far the most brutal out of all of them. And he's not done with that chair.
No. And I wish I could show the whole match, but this was a guy that developed the ego as if he was Hulk Hogan. A local guy, didn't want to train to wrestle. We gave him opportunities. And then he ended up embarrassing himself in front of his hometown. Now, is it Carl that gives the final blow here? Or
yeah, it's Carl.
Okay. But you can tell this guy is in a lot of pain, and every bit of this pain is very deserved. This was one of my favorite matches. Okay, yeah, here we go.
I remember, Jay Lethal was on this show. I had an outstanding match with Jay Lethal the night before, and he said he actually went silent as this happened. Now it's funny because
here I come,
but not in time. You were about a fraction of a second too late.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but it was good enough to convince that buffoon that I actually attempted to help him out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What a blast from the past.
Anyways, it's been a pleasure having you on. You're on
Likewise.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You want to let us know where they can follow you?
Yes, on Twitter. Please follow me. I'll even talk to you guys on Twitter. I won't talk to you on Facebook, but I'll talk to you on Twitter. And plus, I think I only have about 30 spots left on Facebook anyway, so I'm barely on there. I'm on Twitter at Jeremy Prophet, JeremyProphet. Follow me on there. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Jeremy Prophet, and you can see me every Tuesday night on Jofo in the Ring at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you love Hannibal TV and this channel, you will love our channel just as much. I promise you, I put my stamp of approval on it. Jeremy Prophet, harbinger of truth. If you can't handle the truth, you definitely can't handle the prophet. It's been a pleasure being here, and I look forward to interacting with your fan base, and I look forward, most of all, to getting back in the ring and defending this bad boy again.
I was looking for one more thing, but I couldn't find it. I'll save it for the next one. I hope you can defend that very soon, maybe this summer, if we can find where the Forest of Fear is, if the Forest of Fear isn't subject to the lockdown restrictions, or if the lockdown restrictions go. I would love to see that title defended, and all the fans want to see you back in action because it's been a while. So yep. We'll let you close it up again, and I'll shut it down properly this time.
Yep. So once again, you can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Prophet. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Jeremy Prophet. You can see me Tuesdays on Jofo in the Ring. Head on over to our YouTube page. Subscribe. You will not be disappointed. And most of all, I look forward to finally getting back in the ring and defending the most prestigious championship in all of Canada. Canada, country where wrestlers are far superior to those around the globe, but don't get even half the recognition. Remember, Canada, Canadian wrestlers matter. I'm Jeremy Prophet, And this has been Great North Wrestling.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe